Oh boy. Oh boy. Strap into another round. Good, good. That was a good start. Strap in for another round of this. This will hopefully be the last part of this. I'll get all the alternate endings today, and then we'll move on to the next game. I didn't stream last week, or I did. I streamed once, but I didn't stream the second time like I said I was, because that trip to New York City killed my legs, and I just couldn't sit in front of the computer and stream. So I was like, forget it. I'm going to get some other work done. Next week, I'll just do more streams. In fact, I'm going to do a bonus stream this week in addition to catching up. So expect streams today, tomorrow, Thursday, and also Wednesday. I don't know why I skipped Wednesday. Consider this the spring cleaning of stream week. The stream cleaning. Stream cleaning. 100 years, stream cleaning. So, we've already seen one alternate ending. They all start this way. You have to fall asleep during all of them. Not sleeping is the only way to get to the normal ending. Looking up at the light only leads to that one path. So, you just skip it. So we're inside Lynx's manor again. Kid's going on ahead. We saw a flash of light. We're going to ignore it and just go right with her. Suddenly, Kid stops dead in her tracks. I look to her, wondering what's wrong. Magil has already assumed his battle stance. I do so too, trying to see what's ahead of us. Suddenly, I realize what they were triggered by. A barely audible voice of some kind can be heard, far up ahead. Advancing a bit more, we come to the source. There, barely illuminated in the dim light, is some sort of thin blue monster. It seems like it's been waiting for us, kneeling on the pavement as it chants to itself in a low, quiet tone. It's another one of these things. Its long, bony fingers seem to be etching something onto the floor before it. It's a demon warlock. I unsheathed my knife, getting ready to face off with the monster. Let's just go for it. I switch my knife around for a backhanded attack as the demon grins a disgusting smile at me. The second I see it break its focus, I lash out with my weapon. However, my dead-on attack only seems to graze the demon's skin. What are you smiling at, freak? Kid yells as it gives a twisted, fang-laden smile. It said frog-laden smile. I'm like, what? I clean the sweat off my brow and try to keep focused. However, I can't help but notice the demon's eyes amidst all this. They've got such an unsettling quality to them, almost as though this thing harbors some sort of unimaginable intelligence. Wait, what am I saying? I can't get lost in that thing's mind now. Everybody knows that these things can trap your spirit with their eyes. So this is that thing made of leeches, just... I skipped the leech part. It's gonna burst into flames, and now the demon's no more, yeah. Odd. You okay, mate? Yeah, I'm not bad. I've got some bruises here and there, but nothing too serious. You? Oh, are you kidding? That kick things are so bad, didn't even have time to say its prayers. Yeah, we did pretty good back there, didn't we? Damn it, Surge, when are you gonna bloody grow up and start fighting like a man? Kid's glare shoots into me like an icy lance. I swallow a dry gulp and continue down the corridor behind her. So whenever you see that, that means her relationship with you went down. And if she praises you, then it goes up. After a while, the path splits in 3 directions, blah, 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 blah. Where are we going? So for this ending, we need to go into examining the desk in the study, and then entering Riddle's room. Where's the study again? We're going to... This is Riddell's room. We don't want to go there yet. I don't think this is, the study. This is Lynx's quarters. No, we don't want to... Yeah, we know this is the mirror. Let's go about Magil. We haven't heard this yet. Very well. The reflection of the statue begins to ripple a little. Gradually, the mirror fades into darkness. However, after a minute or two, nothing materializes. What could this mean? Worthless piece of junk. Come on, let's get back to work, Kid says, flexing her quick temper. We resume our search, disregarding the mirror. I take another extensive look around the room, reminding myself it's not a certain detail. What should I do now? My Kid's intuition. We don't need to care about this. Kid, with her thieving genius, able to find a needle in a haystack. Hey, look it! Kid shouts, turning around with a mischievous grin on her face and two big pens in her hands. Ha ha ha! Lynx, you bastard! How'd you like some redecorating? She takes off the caps and begins to scribble over everything with both hands. The walls, the furniture, and even the ceilings are all given an equal defacing. La 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 la! You're next, you crazy old mirror! No, please, no! Perfect, Kid says, looking around the room satisfactorily. Satisfied, she runs out of the room. Feeling sorry for it, I wipe off the mirror and the statue. The rest of the room, on the other hand... Griffin. Frig. What do we do for the Griffin? We ram it. So I actually handled that one well, because she praised me afterwards. Proceed to head down the dark passageway. Wooden door. Is this the study? Yep, here we go. The study's the library. So we want to examine the desk. I walk over and open the drawer in the mahogany desk. The drawers contain writing materials and documents arranged in an orderly fashion. Unfortunately, they don't seem to contain anything worth mentioning. But then, a small picture in the drawer catches my eye. It's a portrait of a friendly-looking girl with a faint smile on her face. I hold it up, wondering who it could be. It's probably Lynx's adopted daughter, Kid says, looking over my shoulder with her nose crinkled. Pedophile. A faint gasp from behind me suddenly catches my attention. Turning around, I see Magil walking over to us with his eyes fixed firmly on the picture. I don't think I've ever seen him like this before. What is it, Magil? My question visibly startles Magil, but after a few moments, he returns to his usual wooden face. Nothing. His firm response doesn't leave much room for questioning. We're wasting valuable time. We should look elsewhere, Magil says abruptly, turning towards the door. Kid and I look at each other, perplexed. What's his problem? Don't ask me. Hey, Magil, wait up. We leave the study, retracing our steps through the dark passageway. Finally, the passageway comes to... Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Alright, now we go downstairs. Now we enter here. Is someone there? A woman's voice asks all of a sudden. Kid and I instantly hide behind a closet, ready for anything. A fair girl comes into view out of a dark corner. Must have been my imagination, she says, apparently not yet aware of us. I remain perfectly still while holding my breath, wondering what to do next. Then, all of a sudden, a shadow over by the desk begins to tremble. Magil. He suddenly materializes, placing himself directly across from the girl. She's overcome with shock seeing this. In desperation, all she must do is muster out the words, "Who? What? What do you want?" We're here because of the invitation in the newspaper, and we're thieves, but... I hope this girl can recognize a good thief when she sees one. We're thieves, but we mean you no harm, I say hesitantly, wondering if that came out all right. Kid stares at me doubtfully, most likely confused by what I'm getting myself into. Seeing the situation unfold before her eyes, the girl stands there with a blank look on her face, pale as a ghost. Who are you people? She asks, unable to mask her increasing fear. Magil steps in and speaks in a comforting tone. I apologize on behalf of my party if we startled you. We intend no harm, my lady. Despite his persuasiveness, the girl seems to remain unconvinced and starts to panic. Stop, thieves. Don't come any closer. This is hopeless. Tie her up and gag her, threaten her, hoping she'll faint. I move over to the bed and start pulling off the sheets. Kid goes over and helps, saying, What do you say we toss her in the dresser? Magil approaches us and grabs the sheets out of our hands before we can make a move. With a look of pity in his eyes, he looks back towards the girl. She seems shocked at this turn of events, to say the least, not knowing what to think. Sorry, Magil. I was only trying to do what's best, I say, ashamed. However, before Magil can respond, the girl takes a breath and turns to us to speak. Magil? You're Magil? You're Magil? Did you once go by the name Gilbert? Hearing that name, Magil takes on a look of shock. Riddell, is that you? He says in a surprisingly vulnerable tone. Gilbert, it really is you! My dear, dear Gilbert, she says, taking his hand. Gilbert? What the... I have worried you so much, he says in a deeply sentimental voice. Kid, suddenly tinged with anxiety, interrupts the two. Hey, Lovebird, we're here for the Frozen Flame, not damsels in distress, remember? The Frozen Flame? Asks Riddell, bewildered. Ah, yes, these are my companions, Magil says in his usual, dry tone a moment later. Kid and I glance at each other. This evening is a blessing bequeathed to us by that shimmering red jewel's fate, Magil says to Riddell. Oh, brother, all this girl stuff is starting to unravel him. Kid's starting to get agitated, however. I've got a feeling there are a few things that could keep her from getting the Frozen Flame tonight, and none of them wear high heels. Despite her increasing impatience with the situation, Magil goes on, and on. Ever since my childhood I have thought of you. My heart has yearned ever so madly, only for you. Oh, Gilbert. It is true, my dear Riddell. Therefore, about the promise. Suddenly, Riddell turns away from Magil. Promise? She asks in a voice so quiet, it's almost inaudible. Yes, my dear. Surely you haven't forgotten our secret promise. The one we made to each other that beautiful day in the garden. You've not forgotten the vows of marriage we bestowed on one another, have you? Riddell continues to avert her eyes from Magil. I will hear no more of this childish nonsense, she shouts, burying her head in her hands once again. Ask if there's any interest in her hole left in her. Ask if there's someone else. Is there someone else? Magil asks after a moment or two, barely able to keep himself composed. Gilbert, She breaks off, unable to finish the sentence. Her shoulders sag as she starts to lament again. Sheesh, Magil. Talking to her like that ain't gonna help. Save your issues for Lynx, Ken interjects, bringing Magil back to reality. Riddle continues to sob, more and more bewildered by the moment. This is hopeless, mate. We've wasted enough time here. We gotta get going. But as it is, leaving this lovely lady alone would be a mistake. She may tell someone about us, or perhaps she's in danger, Magil says to Kid, staring at Riddle. Sheesh, I know why you want to stay here, and it ain't that, Kid says, rolling her eyes. Kid, please, leave this to me, Magil shouts. Riddle, watching all of this, stares at Magil intensely, probably now wondering if he's the one with something to hide. Magil feverishly explains, Please allow me to introduce Kid, a business associate of mine. Kid, bored to tears, does her best to get out of this situation. Business associate? Is that what you're calling me now? Oh, come on, mate. Just last night you were... Damn it, I can't believe she's saying this. I rush to cover her mouth up with my hand, saying, she's a little confused right now. Don't mind her. After a moment, Kid stops wrestling me and I let go of her. Teeth marks as red as blood stand out my fingers. Gilbert, you really think I'm a lovely lady? Seeing a new ray of hope before his eyes, Magil picks up where he left off. Only of the loveliest kind, my lady. Indeed, it's true, you have blossomed into a fair and delicate young woman. I'm staying out of this, I say to myself. I've got enough problems with my own love life. But then, suddenly, another voice echoes out, entering into the doorway. Mistress Riddle, you will remember to remind your manners around our guests, won't you? Who's this? Oh, Noelle, you know how I dislike it when you call me Mistress, Riddle exclaims. She continues, slightly embarrassed. This is Gilbert, Noelle. Surely you remember him from long ago, when I was but a child. After a while, it dawns on the elderly woman that she once knew this man, and an expression of recognition comes over her face. Ah, yes, Master Gilbert. All grown up, I see. And what a fine gentleman you turned out to be. Oh, now we're never getting out of this, Kid says, sitting down on the couch with her head in her hands. Could this be a trap, I wonder? Don't relax just yet, Kid. I think we're being double-crossed. Do you think we can manage to take Riddle hostage? Let's let Magil do what he thinks is best, Kid. Obviously, I'm choosing that one. I stoop down to where Kid's sitting and whisper, Magil's got more experience than us. I think we should let him handle this. Kid goes utterly numb. The maid notices us whispering to each other and takes a step backwards. Well, who's this young lady? Ah, these two are my business associates, Magil says, offering a simple introduction. I see. Since Master Gilbert says so, I will extend my welcome to you. I am Lady Riddell's personal servant. My name is Noelle. Nice to meet you. I have known Master Gilbert ever since he was a wee lad. She goes on, telling us about various things from their past. It seems like they've had quite an illustrious upbringing. And so, Master Gilbert and Lady Riddell have often shared one another's company, stealing each other's eyes. However, one day, he was whisked far away. Could this get any more exciting, Kid asks. Noelle and Kid exchange looks, but she continues momentarily after recomposing herself. Once, in a secret meeting at their favorite flower garden, an oath was made between the two. In that beautiful courtyard, future prospects were indeed planned upon. However, the maid's eyes darken as she continues. But, as everyone knew, Lady Riddell had already been assigned a suitor. Riddell's shoulders sink upon hearing this. Noelle, why did you have to mention that? Now our oath is void. Magil's eyes shimmer in the dim light. Through all this, Kid is just about pushed to her limit. Unable to be obedient any longer, she stands up, eyes flaring. Kid leaps out ahead of Magil, confronting the two. Listen up. I'm the great thief, Kid, and we're here tonight in this mansion too. But she's broken off by the maid. How dare you, you rude young lady? Surely you know better than to act in such a way before the lady of the house. Ha! You got something coming to you, you old wench, Kid snarls, now eye to eye with Noelle. Magil quickly comes between the two, first addressing the maid. Please, do not worry. I've never shown any malice towards you or Riddle, nor have I meant any harm, and I will not allow any to happen in the future. Please accept my apologies on my accomplice's behalf. Master Gilbert. Continuing on, he turns towards Kid. Perhaps it would be best if we left. Huh? Kid and Noelle exchange glances. Then, at the same time, one single idea pops into both Noelle and Kid's minds. What in blazes are you thinking? Running off with Riddell? Kid yells. At the very same moment, Noelle shouts, What in the world, milady? How could you think of Did not have time to hit the pause on that one, or the mute on that one. Gesundheit. Oh, what in the world, my lady? How could you think of elopement at a time like this? Madgel's mouth drops wide open. No, that's not what I meant. But it's useless. The yelling resumes, louder than ever, hopelessly drowning out Madgel's reasoning. What kind of a gentleman do you think you are? Honestly, thinking of eloping without telling a single soul? Noelle ensues before stomping out of the room in a rage. Damn it, we gotta think about the frozen flame here, Kid shouts, tugging on Madgel's shirt. Riddle doesn't seem very happy either, having once again regressed into tears. Madgel's vow of love seems to be on its last leg. I'm starting to wonder if there's any hope for this situation at all anymore. In any case, Riddle can't possibly want to be burdened with all this torment. If I could just talk her down out of all this commotion, it might be alright, if only I had more options. It won't be a bad life living with him. He's a good guy. You do want to escape this terrible mansion, don't you? A good thief, perhaps. Every now and then I would be ashamed to talk to us, Riddle whimpers. What do you got against thieves now? Ain't nothing wrong with being a thief. It's an honorable job, ain't it, Magel? If Riddle wishes it, I will hereby end my career as a pilferer. Therefore, Magel... Kid and I are floored. This girl must really, really be something. Magel's presented a good case, but I just don't know if Riddle's swallowing it at all. Suddenly, alarms blare out all around us. Damn that bloody maid. What do we do now? Flustered, I look to Magel. We must be on our way, he says. Riddle nods after a moment. Indeed. It's best for you to leave tonight. In time, perhaps you may return. Then I might be able to look upon you as a friend. A friend. A friend. Hearing that word in terms of their relationship seems to strike through Magel's heart like a searing hot knife. No, I will not leave here without you, he yells suddenly. Riddle, please, I beg you, come with me now. Footsteps can be heard from down the hallway. The guards are coming for us, quickly. Magel lightly picks Riddle up, putting her over his shoulder as he makes for the door. They're getting closer, Kid says, peeking around the corner. With his cape gallantly fluttering behind him, Magel bolts down the hallway. Come on, they're right behind us. Oh no, there they are, right there. Ha! Like a hurricane, Magel effortlessly rams one of the guards into the wall while I knocked the other senseless and couldn't finish reading that line because it was auto-scrolling. At last we slipped out of the huge mansion. I'm utterly exhausted. I gasp huge breaths as I stumble down into a nearby grassy clearing deep in the woods. But suddenly, thunderous booms start to echo out from far behind us. Looking up into the open nighttime sky, fireworks of all colors adorn the starry evening. I stare upwards, dumbfounded. What's going on? Kid asks. Then, through the trees, I look up at the mansion and all my questions are answered. There, we see all the occupants of Viper Manor waving and cheering for us. Long live Mistress Riddle! Hip hip hooray! Good luck! Well, we'll be over for brunch once you're settled. Then Kid nudges me, pointing to the rooftop, and there, Lord Lynx sits solemnly with a tear in his eye, waving to us. Father of the bride. Riddle lifts her head up to speak, briefly pausing from her joyful sobs. All this fuss, all this fighting. It is I who should be apologizing, my lady, Magel says, putting his forehead to hers, wiping her cheek with his handkerchief. Oh, Gilbert, it's the same old you, she says, sighing. Far from across the landscape, a deep shimmering light begins to fill the sky. Look, Riddle. There's our frozen flame, Magel says, pointing towards the morning sun. Magel, caught between love and adventure. So, at the end. So, that was a silly alternate universe right there. Sweet, but it's funny how Lynx is like suddenly a good guy in that one, even though we were talking about robbing him. And so the curtain closes on yet another tale. However, another time after the spotlight had faded from Gilbert, Riddell, and Noel. In another place and another time, a similar band of adventurers had come forth, equally unsuspecting of their other selves, and life went on as they strode out into the great unknown. If only he was a good guy. Well, I mean, in Chrono Cross, he was a good guy, and then he wasn't. But that's a story for another day. For now, I shall put down my pen. Rip Luca. If only Luca was in this game. As I softly close my grandfather's diary, I hear my mother's voice. Did you call from Damien? Did you hear me? Your friend is here. Sora, it's time for dinner. I turn around, already knowing who it is. My door opens quite energetically, where I see a strangely nostalgic young girl barge in. Serge, we found some ruins of an old mansion up in northern Kisune 4. Come on, let's go learn. Yeah, this part's always the same in every ending, I think. Ripperoonie Luca. Rip Chrono as well. Yeah, this is the route where everyone lives. Well, I mean, also that other alternate ending I got was completely different as well, because in that Kid was not raised by Luca. She was raised by a bunch of nuns in a church, and one of the nuns was Lynx's actual daughter. Really? We're already doing this? With the freezing and the frizzing and the frickety frack? Ugh. I'm wondering what the hell's going on with my computer lately, that it's like freezing up every time I stream now. I really hope this thing's already not degrading to like an unstreamable point. Because I don't have my replacement yet that my friend was going to give me. Also, sorry, I'm looking at how to get the other endings so that I don't have to waste a whole lot of time with it. Wonder how Chrono Cross would be if it was one of the alt universes got picked instead of the one we know. I mean, it's interesting because in this universe, Serge, Magil, and Kid already know each other. In Chrono Cross, it starts earlier, before Kid and Serge meet up. I mean, presumably there are the other universes, it's just that in Chrono Cross you only go to 2 of them. You go to the universe where Serge was killed, which was the normal universe, And then you go to the one where he lives, which was the alternate one. Macaw, the wizard, and Surge, also a wizard. I will show the true ending of the first one after I've gotten the other ones. Sleep. Skeleton. We don't want to fight this thing. It says there's a path that you have to, like, go listen to a sound in the forest, but I was not given the option. This is by far the most... Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Fall asleep, follow kid. Check out the painting and the study of the Martian landscape. All right. More random encounters. I probably skipped a lot of dialogue that I haven't heard there before. Check out the painting. I walk over and examine the painting, illuminated by the pale moonlight. It's an oil painting of a very strange landscape. I've never seen anything quite like it before. It's a depiction of an endless scorched desert, filled with red sand stretching out to the horizon. There, unbelievably tall mountains soar upwards for miles and miles, meaning a blazing orange sky. Oh, even the music for the Viper Man is the same. A lot of the music in Radical Dreamers is actually just SNES versions of Chrono Cross music. It's I think, at least half, if not more, of the soundtrack from Radical Dreamers was reworked to be music in Chrono Cross. Which is interesting, because I don't think Mitsuda did the soundtrack for Chrono Cross, but he did the soundtrack for this game, so in a way, he did do the Chrono Cross soundtrack. I'm not sure. I think I'm getting him confused with Akira Toriyama, because Toriyama did not work on Chrono Cross. He only worked on Chrono Trigger. I might be getting the two aspects of the games confused. It seems surreal, almost out of this world. But even more than that, it seems like a very sad, lonely painting, as if it's depicting a memory, a fleeting memory, of a desolate soul. What kind of person could have painted this? And furthermore, why is it here in the study? None of the other stuff around here matches it. Noticing me, Macaw comes to my side. Sorry, I guess I got distracted. Noticing his sharp gaze, I get the feeling he's going to berate me for my stupidity, getting caught up with a silly painting like this while we're in enemy territory. However, I'm mistaken. Even as I start to walk away, Macaw doesn't seem to budge, still staring up at the painting. I look back at him and suddenly realize what's going on. Usually I'm at a loss to what he's thinking. Up until now, that's the way it was. Mitsuda was the composer for Cross. Alright, never mind. Then I was mistaken. But at this moment, I completely understand him. Macaw is burning. What? A slight glow has started to radiate all around him. It seems like his fury has somehow tapped into the force of Maxwell's demon, allowing him to violate the second law of thermodynamics. Actually, no. It's as though the helium and hydrogen-free atoms drifting in the area, around the area, are somehow causing a thermonuclear fusion reaction. The neutrinos of a reaction like this could be visible even in a cup of water. What the fuck is happening? Fascinating. The look on his face is the same cold expression he always wears. However, his internal temperature has clearly risen by more than a few degrees. Serge, if anything should ever happen to me, please take care of Kid. But before I can even get the chance to ask him about what he means, his face turns red, his blood hot as lava, as though he's being stripped down by some sort of primal awareness, ready to attack whatever comes his way. Finally, after all these years, I have you, he repeats, over and over again, continuing to stare at the strange painting. His sharp, radiant gaze seems to pierce through the painting and beyond the mansion wall, as if he's seeing straight into the ethereal demiurge, Father Time himself. Beyond that mysterious porcelain mask of his lies a consciousness on the brink of critical mass, somehow innately prepared for this very day, for this very moment. Hey, Kid says as the flame starts to take on a blue hue, like that of a Cherenkov reaction. If you keep on burning like that, you're gonna get us spotted. Suddenly noticing Macaw's intensity, a giant sweat drop appears on her cheek as a vein in her temple starts to throb prominently. Woman, will they ever truly understand the true nature of males? Kid, Macaw's on the verge of something big here. If you're any kind of wife, you'll at least console him with one of your bittersweet smiles. Whap. Ugh. Hey, snap out of it, mate. Kid has gone to the trouble of removing one of her high-laced boots and hitting me over the head with it. I awake from a daze, rubbing my head. Huh? What the heck? I was only joking around, Kid. Humph. What's going on with Macaw? Kid asks. I don't really know, but something's been awakened inside him. Something fierce. I think he sees something in that painting. Maybe Lynx himself, I say, pointing to the bizarre painting as the 50 cc's of blood per second routinely flows through my temples. That thing? It's just a stupid picture of a desert, she yells, beyond bewildered. At any rate, Macaw remains transfixed on the glossy oil canvas, glowing with that pale blue radiance all around him. Suddenly, something even stranger happens. His right fist explodes into a ball of blue fire. What the fuck is happening? After the flames abate, a strange symbol has emerged on the back of his hand. Two diagonally crossed broadswords with an S shape in the middle, interlocking the blades. Kid, Surge, we will no longer have to worry about keys, he says, as the pale blue glow continues to irradiate from his body. Ah, Macaw, always good for some quality gobbledygook. Macaw turns and walks towards the entranceway. There he holds out his hands, and after a few moments the door starts to burn. I rush over, eager to see what's going on. What I see next amazes me. Nothing but a hole remains in the space where the door handle once was. Easily pushing the rest of the door open, we follow Macaw out of the room. I have no idea what I have to do now. Treasury. Alright, I gotta find where the treasure's hidden. Macaw steps towards the door with his burning hand extended. The instant his glowing blue palm touches the door, the lock simply disappears. Whoa, Macaw, why didn't you ever use that hand of yours before? Kid purses her lips, silently slipping into the treasury vault. The hole left by Magil's new magic is perfectly round, with smooth edges, as though it had been cut with an incredibly sharp blade. Also, there doesn't seem to be a single scrap of wood left on the floor. Even I don't know where the scraps go, he says from beside me as I enter the doorway. Taking our first few steps inside, Kid whistles out in loud admiration. Cripes, look at all this loot! I'm taken aback as well, despite the fact that this room smells like insecticide that's been kept alone in a drawer for years and years. Faintly visible in the dim light, a mountain of gold and silver treasure, countless works of fine art, and other shimmering artifacts fill the spacious room. Magil walks around, amazed at all the items scattered about the room. Oddly enough, he starts to go crazy over some of the more eclectic, less valuable-looking items. A statue of the hero Kafal from the planet Taurust, a stuffed Dharmaphos from Saturn, a Triffid worm from the planet Greylands, Cretanthu royal jelly on a life maker inscribed plate, like Apostle's crystal. And what's that over there? Could it really be a genuine Swiss Army knife embedded with Zora's blue stone? I had no idea he knew about all this stuff. I had no idea there was anybody out there who knew about junk like this so much. Hey, look at what we have here, Kid says, walking to an old movie camera, feeling a bit camera-friendly. She stretches out across the treasure, posing with a somewhat awkward smile for the camera. So Switzerland exists in this world? I guess so. I mean, this is another alternate universe, so who even knows? The teleprompter's not in order, mutters Magil, abandoning the clunky machine he's been checking out. Hello? My controller just stopped working again. Alright, hold on. Let me restart it. There we go. Suddenly, there's a noise over in the far corner. I look over, seeing one of the items suddenly being knocked over. None of us are anywhere near it, though. I unsheathe my knife as Kid and I exchange glances. She goes to check it out, taking careful, quiet steps. Also, yeah, there's apparently a movie camera. Oh, hell, it's just the assistant director, she says. You bumbling crew, always getting in the way. The assistant director tries to explain, but is cut off by Kid. You're gonna make me screw up my lines, Kid continues. And besides, can't you see we're in the middle of a great find here? And get me an Evian for crying out loud. But then something catches my eye. Over in the back of the room, behind the Clare Bible and Edionite that the assistant director had knocked over, a shimmering red light streaks out, barely visible behind all the items. The frozen flame. On an intricate pedestal sits the magnificent scarlet crystal. It's so perfectly radiant, it seems as though it's unreal, like a product of polygon technology. It slowly rotates on the pedestal, beckoning us. Halt! It may be dangerous. Magil extends his faintly glowing hand out towards Kid, yanking her back just as she's about to grab the fabled item. Easy, Magil. Remember what that hand of yours can do. But then the scarlet jewel suddenly vanishes into thin air. We stare at each other, confused. Magil approaches the pedestal a few moments later, using his hand to burn a hole into the top of the platform. We peer down inside it. There, amongst an array of mechanical equipment, we see a circuit controlling the revolving pedestal, and another controlling a red light of some sort, flickering on and off. A hologram. A fake. Just as I expected, Magil says, looking around by the back of the pedestal. Here's the cord, he says, following along its path. It should lead us to... Aha, he says, stomping at the wall where the cord goes into. There we find nothing but the stagehand, fumbling around with the power outlets. The short oriental man looks up at us with a worried look on his face. You worthless piece of garbage, Kid yells, shaking the stagehand by the neck. What'd you do with the real frozen flame? Come on, Kid, I say. He wouldn't know anything about that important. Anything that important, excuse me. He was probably just trying to fix the lighting here and tripped over the frozen flame's cord. Kid reluctantly releases her grip from the stagehand's neck, who gives a nervous, apologetic smile to us, all before quickly scampering away. "Get me an Evian already," she yells as she scurries out of sight. "The real flame's gotta be around here somewhere. I have a feeling the real flame would not be stored in such an easily obtainable place, kid. We should search elsewhere." Aye. We say goodbye to the treasure vault for now, resuming our search. Storeroom, alright. What's with all this junk? Must be a storeroom or something. It seems like the inner mechanics of a clock tower. However, the gears look old and rusted and the cogs are spinning randomly without connecting up to their proper teeth. That the clock's still in use today. The room seems to be currently used as a storage area. A large object catches my attention, off in a far corner of the room. It's too dark to see what's over there, though. I start to look around a bit, peering in under some of the covered items. But then, all of a sudden... What's that? What's going on? I didn't do anything. Tension rises as a low rumbling starts to echo out throughout the room. The light in the room is also dimmed rather suddenly. Kid looks around the room with a newfound interest. I feel it too. Where's it coming from? I follow my ears over to the far wall. It seems to be coming from that direction. Kid approaches the dark, dusty rear half of the room with slow, cautious steps, attracted by the suspiciousness. The room is covered with a large cloth. Whatever's making the noise seems to be coming from here. Kid and I look at each other. I hesitantly grip my knife as she gives the cloth a tug. Whoa. A vast collection of twinkling lights are lined up in an orderly fashion across the entire wall. I've never seen anything like this before. There's hardly any light in the room, nor does the moon's light shine on us in here. But somehow, these lights twinkle and sparkle on their own, as if they contain a spark of fire within each of them. The hum we heard earlier, like that of a firefly buzzing around, seems to be coming from everywhere on this wall. Speaking of fireflies, that's very much how it all looks as well. Endless amounts of bright greens, reds, and blues twinkle and sparkle on the assortment of panels before us. Metal components of some kind seem to be integrated into the ceiling and the floor. What could all this be used for? Lynx, what has he been up to all this time? Strange paintings and now strange flickering walls, hidden completely out of sight. The atmosphere in here, I suddenly realize, feels strangely familiar to when we were standing in front of that painting. Maybe it's Macaw. His radiance has returned to a bright blue glow. Looking over at him, he looks as though he never left that room. He stands there, examining the wall with his lips pursed, and a bead of sweat rolling down his cheek. Hey mate, come check this out. I turn my head over to the far corner where Kid was investigating. It seems she's uncovered something more. It looks like some sort of huge box. It would probably be taller than Macaw if it wasn't tipped on its side. It has a set of doors which open freely on its front face, which contain strange, colorful mechanics inside. Isn't this about the usual size of a box that a fridge comes in? Kid asks. Kid, let's think for a minute, Macaw says. How could this be a refrigerator box, if refrigerators haven't even been invented yet? Good call, Macaw. Oh yeah, I forgot. Well, looks an awful lot like a non-electric refrigerator box thing. Macaw and I glance at each other. Macaw blinks. Oh hell, what does it matter what I call it? It's got nothing to do with the frozen flame, she yells, kicking the box. Suddenly the box starts to rumble. Lights begin to shine and shimmer all over it, letting out strange noises. It lets out a wild shrill as two flaps open up on both sides of the box. There, large legs sprout out. This thing, whatever it is, towers above us as it rises to its feet. Then two more flaps open out where two strong and sturdy arms begin to grow outwards, just as the legs did. Finally, a round dome rises out from the top, complete with two eyes, a gaping mouth, and a rotating arc-shaped antenna. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were fridges in Chrono Trigger in 1000 AD. The technology level in Chrono Trigger is kind of weird, because Luca invents so much futuristic shit. Frightened for my life, I readied my weapon against the huge monstrosity before me. Kid, on the other hand, can't seem to stop laughing. Yeah, it does look kind of clunky, maybe even a bit funny looking, but still. Uh-oh. I think we rubbed it the wrong way. It looks down on us with a frustrated smirk on its face. In the center of its torso, the two original flaps slowly open, revealing a complex network of psychedelic colored gears, chains, and a pair of huge Gatling guns. We dive for cover behind some covered items just as it opens fire. Whoa, that was a seizure warning right there. Oh my god. Kid can't seem to help continuing to laugh and taunt the thing as we scurry from place to place. However, suddenly, a clear voice echoes out over the chaos. Kid, Surge, hide quickly. I will deactivate it. Upon hearing Macaw behind it, the thing starts to whip around. Great Deva of Mars, I come for you. In a flash, Macaw has leapt into the air, dashing with the full force towards the fridge, non-fridge thing. He shoots downwards, landing a direct kick on the back of its head. It teeters for a moment as Macaw lands safely away from it. Then, miraculously, it falls lifelessly to the floor before us, as pieces of its beaten body fly out in all directions. Its battery box, 2 AA's sold separately, tumbles away, stopping inches from my feet. Macaw stands there, a glowing champion, burning with a blue radiance like never before. Are you two alright? He asks us. Hehehe, my belly hurts, but yeah. Kid answers, still unable to stop laughing. I silently nod to Macaw. Looking over at the junked remains, Kid seems to have found something of interest. She reaches out and takes some sort of white object, quickly stashing it down her bosom. Hey kid, what's that? Nothing. Mind your business, Surge. Let us search elsewhere. There are many clues left to be discovered, Macaw says with a cocked eyebrow before heading to the door. Thinking back on all this, Macaw's been getting stranger and stranger lately. What did he call that thing? A great Deva of Mars? And how could he have known what its weak spot was? What kind of background does this guy have? Excuse me. What kind of background does this guy need to have in order to have no stuff about stuff like that? I always knew he was strange, but I'm finding out now just how strange he really is. In any case, I'm glad I have him on our side. That thing would have been made mincemeat out of us if he hadn't been here. I follow the gallant, luminescent figure of Macaw out of the room. Where to go from here? Descend the stairs. Alright, so we have to go downstairs. There's like no hint that you're supposed to do this. Just as we reach the bottom of the stairs, a wall of light suddenly flashes out in front of us. I almost run into it, but barely manage to stop myself before colliding with the blistering hot thing. I look a bit closer at it once I've caught my bearings. In addition to the bright light in front of us, strange markings are scattered around the floor within it. Around the markings, a small ditch runs in a perfect circle, where the columns of light radiate up from. A weird sort of shrill seems to be coming up from it as well. What is it? Can you break through it with your magic? I ask Macaw. Without saying a word, Macaw shifts his glance over to Kid. What are you looking at me for? Kid asks defensively. Macaw points to her chest. Oh, my bunny? Kid reluctantly reaches into her bosom. She takes out a plush bunny hand puppet, saying, It's my toy. I found it fair and square. So that's what she found in the wreckage. A toy bunny. But what good would that be here? Kid, this is actually a Martian Forest League concealed lesser armament bunny, and it's far more than a toy. Kid gawks at Macaw, as do I. I suppose I'm expecting him to yell, Gotcha! Any time now, but he just stands there, as aloof as ever. He puts the white, fluffy, blue-eyed bunny puppet onto his hand with utmost care. So, this Martian Force League lesser armament bunny, Martian Concealed Forest League, Lesser Armament Buddy, Magil corrects, as solemn as a philosophy teacher. Right. This Martian Concealed Force League, Lesser Armament Buddy. What is it? Please, kid. Such technology is hopelessly beyond human comprehension. Well, what does it do then? Watch. Wait, no, that's not okay, Magil. Magil turns around, facing the columns of light. Entirely unfazed by my presence, Magil starts to dance around, waving the bunny through the air as he recites some sort of weird incantation. Heat cup, provolone, soccer mom. It's like he's wasted or something. And then, after a few moments, the glimmering light begins to subside. Because of course it does. Well, whatever. I stopped trying to figure out this whole mess a long time ago. Surge. Magil turns to me, staring into my eyes with relentless honesty. He holds the bunny, the Martian Force League Lesser Armament bunny, mind you, out in front of him, saying, I entrust this to you. Please, if anything should ever happen to me, use it as I have. Magil, I humbly accept this most sacred gift. I shall use it sparingly and appropriately, I say with a deep bow. Hey, when in Rome. This enchanted seal can never be completely removed. It will require one to re-extinguish it from time to time. Excuse me. By doing what I have done, this instrument can be used to temporarily nullify the effects of the seal. Please remember how to use it, for someday you too may find yourself in need of its assistance. So it's safe to cross now? Yes. We must hurry, though. Walking across it, I feel a little bit of a shock run through my feet as I take my first few steps, but nothing serious happens. Once we're across, we come to a solid oak door after a bit of walking. Kid opens it slowly. Having come this far, I take a deep breath. It's almost pitch black inside the room. All I can tell is that it's a very large and very cold room. I can make out something in a far corner. It's a large metallic structure of some kind. A billowing voice echoes down from high above. Finally, you've made it. I was wondering if you pitiful apes would ever show up. And there, amidst the shadowy interior of the spacious room, Lord Lynx awaits. Before him, shimmering off the dank walls and ceiling of this underground cavern, a scarlet jewel radiates a deep red light. The frozen flame. Lynx, I have you now, Kid shouts feral. I beg to differ, young lady, Lynx taunts as Keep leaping down from the rocks, dashing towards her with amazing speed. Kid takes on a battle stance as she readies herself for him. However, he quickly dodges her attack, picking her up and tossing her through the air like a rag doll. Kid! She's been thrown backwards onto a wall behind us, as Link returns to near where he stood, unfazed. I run over and scoop Kid into my arms. Oh, how sweet. The apes care for each other. However, I would be more worried about yourself, young man, Link shouts, laughing at the top of his lungs. That beast. There has to be something I could do. But he's so fast. I've never seen anybody move like that. Lynx continues to laugh. As Lynx continues to laugh, I desperately try to ignore him and fight off this sudden feeling of hopelessness. What would Magil do at a time like this? Wait, where is Magil? I haven't seen him since we came in. Wait, what's that? Is that a guitar? Just a second ago, a strange sound echoed throughout the huge cavern. It couldn't have been Lynx. He seemed to be caught off guard by the sound just as much as I was. Suddenly, a figure comes forth out of a dark corner of the room. Carrying a portable amp at his side and a shiny guitar across his chest, electrified sounds continue to roar throughout the cavern, again and again, as the figure continues to come towards us. Oh god, is it that guy from Chrono Cross, the rock star, who's related to the mermaids or whatever? Nope, it's just Magil. Wait, Magil? From what I could tell, it looks like him. Sort of. Although having somehow changed into skin-tight riveted jeans, trendy goggles, and a cool-looking shirt exposing his defined torso, it seems to be Magil in the flesh. Oh hey Gamma, you just got the Wi-Fi at your place set up? That is rad. Lights shine up from behind him, dazzlingly illuminating his glistening spiked hair and ponytail. Magil, what do you think you're doing? Kid asks, recovering from her daze. But Magil says nothing, continuing on with his enthusiastic solo. Ah, no! That noise! Stop this at once! Lynx shouts, holding his ears. What's that? You like a little stairway to heaven? Your wish is my command. Magil shouts with a huge smile before wailing on the guitar even louder. Before long, it seems like Lynx is going mad, listening to the harsh dissonance. His head starts to vibrate before swelling up more and more like a balloon. Then, all of a sudden, his head pops. At the same time, a countless number of cracks start to run up his body, snapping away parts of his body piece by piece until a number of slender green tentacles make their way up his body, writhing all around him. Whoa, what's going on? Serge, says Kid, rising to her feet. This is a bigger fight than I expected. I'm counting on you. You got that? I don't know, Kid. I can't throw myself into the thick of battle now. Who would narrate the story if something was to happen to me? Suddenly, the remains of Lynx fly out in all directions, and with that, Lynx has completely completed his metamorphosis. What the fuck? This is this game's called Radical Dreamers. It's a Super Nintendo Satellaview game that came out in like the late 90s, and it's like a pseudo sequel. It's based off of Chrono Trigger, sort of. If you've ever played Chrono Cross, it's like a beta version of Chrono Cross almost. So Lynx has turned into an alien somehow. A gigantic, slimy, lime-green octopus stands before us, eagerly awaiting our doom. Ooh, I'm getting hungry for sushi. I have you now, Martian conjurer, Magil shouts. I have searched the galaxy for over 500 years for you, you wretched H-class space criminal. I have hidden my identity as a mere human, traveling with these people in order to track you to this very spot. But now, such tricks are no longer necessary. Behold, for I am the universal detective, Mick Van Jovi. So he's Mick Jagger and Bon Jovi. As soon as Mick says this, light streaks out from all around him. When I could see again, he's changed again to some sort of polished metallic body armor. And now, I come for you. Magil turns towards the grotesque octopus and hurls himself in the air. The octopus takes on a look of shock and disgust as Mick reveals himself. Stairway to Heaven exists in Chrono Trigger. It does in this Chrono Trigger universe. What I'm doing right now is I'm getting all these different endings, and each ending's like a different timeline. Ah, my ever-trendy antithesis, Mick Van Jovi. So you've finally found me. It was because of you that I was forced to flee Mars. Fleeing in haste, I accidentally crash-landed on this hellhole planet. My fusion reactor was rendered useless, leaving me stranded here, all because of you. I was forced to eat my own ship to survive, he continued, sobbing. The control panel, the steering wheel, I even had to boil down the seat mat for food. And now, 500 years later, you come to arrest me just as I finished repairing my fusion core, he yells, nodding at the frozen flame. Frozen flame? A fusion reactor? Within Magil's eyes, a silver flash of light shines out as a pale pulse runs down his glimmering armor. Ah, the Martian Cyclone fusion reactor. Too bad that after I'm done with you, the reactor won't be the one needing 500 years of repairing. Not if I could help it, the Martian octopus shouts. Not missing a beat, Lynx instantly starts to shoot his heavy gray pistol at us, showering the room with jagged beams of light. While we're busy dodging the plethora of light rays, Lynx suddenly snatches the frozen flame and runs into the huge metallic saucer-shaped object over in the corner. In a flash, the thing starts up, rising high above us in a matter of seconds. The thing could easily weigh 10,000 tons, yet it hovers over us as easily as a bird. How do you like my new and improved galaxy mothership? We hear Lynx's voice boom through the cavern. I apologize, but I do believe I will not be coming back to Mars with you, my dear Van Jovi. The ship fires an even more intense barrage of ammunition at us, causing the walls and ceiling to crumble and break apart. Ah, the cavern is collapsing all around us. Boulders of all sizes are frantically raining down on us. Oh no. Magil's been struck down by a huge boulder. He's helplessly trapped beneath it. Magil, no! I rush over to him and push a gigantic boulder off of him. It seems to have crushed some of his armor, though. He's hurt bad. Feel like running yet, fools? Link shouts from inside his cockpit. We gotta get out of here. We can't just leave Mick, though, I shout at Kid. Look at all that armor he's got on. It'll be impossible to carry him out. Even with 3 people, it would still be tough. Don't worry about me, Magil mutters as his armored fingers suddenly grasp my ankle. Surge, Magil gasps. The Mamarsh for Force League Junior. The bunny, I interrupt. Yes, he says. The bunny. Use it. Ah, of course. The bunny. Taking the soft puppet out of my pocket, I look over at Mick. Surge, use it. As I have shown you, it is a multi-use detonator. And please, look after Kid if death comes for me. I clench my fist as I raise my hand, looking up towards Lynx's dreadful ship. Lynx, behold, I shout, raising my hand up into the air, pointing the bunny towards the ship. Where did you get that? Lynx shrieks. No, he continues. You must not use it. Please, it will negate the stability of the fusion reactor. It will kill us all. I look down to Magil. Damn it, I mean Mick. I look down towards Mick, who nods back at me confidently. Ignoring Lynx's pleas, I close my eyes and mimic the enchantment Magil performed earlier with the utmost care. Heat cup, provolone, soccer mom. Good, Surge. The detonation sequence has been initiated. It's on a time delay, Mick says. We must escape before the ship detonates. Kid and I hoist the heavy body up and start to drag him out of the spacious cavern. We're not very far out when suddenly a giant explosion rocks the entire area around us. Far from behind, we hear Link shriek, "My ship!" over and over again. The walls around us are beginning to crumble and shake more and more. Oh no, the entire mansion is collapsing. Run, Surge! Mick shouts as Kid and I desperately try to scamper away faster. Mick seems to have regained a bit of his strength and adrenaline, helping us by limping a bit as we carry his incredibly heavy body through the dark, twisted corridors of Viper Manor. Come on, please, don't cave in just yet. Damn it, just a little longer, please! Yes, we're out. Looking back on the mansion from a safe distance, we watch it collapse under its own weight. It comes toppling down into what looks like a sweltering black hole, infused with a deep Martian redness. Mansion go down the hole. I let out a deep breath as I stare up into the nighttime sky. Suddenly, however, a small group of what looks like flying saucers come flying out of where the mansion used to be, soaring up into the stratosphere. Supporting Mick on both sides, we stare up at the ascending getaway ships. Don't take it too rough, Mick. At least we got out alive. Tomorrow's another day. Indeed, he replies. They're pedal power escape pods. They won't get far. Looking up as they soar over our heads, I see that they were right. Within the translucent center of one of the pods, I see what looks like Lynx, crammed in with a goblin who's being barked at by Lynx to pedal twice as fast in order to keep the ship afloat. Yeah, I think you're right, I say. Human power can't be much of a replacement for a nice fusion reactor, especially when talking about interstellar travel. I look over to Kid, but ironically enough, instead of the pouting face I expected, it seems like there's a quality about her that I don't think she had before. Something more at ease about her, in a more subtle sort of way. Tonight, we rest. Tomorrow, the search continues, says Mick triumphantly. And so, for this adventure, we have come to the end. Or is it? That hurt my head. I need to take a deep breath and some sips here. And so the curtain closed on another tale, however, when the time after the spotlight faded from Kid, Mick, and the Martians. Another place, another time, equally band of blah blah blah, we know. Friends here, Surge comes, we go to, and blah blah blah. Or if Kid comes, we go to an abandoned manor. Oh god, there's a little, there's little, UFOs in this ending. Anyway, we've seen this a bunch of times already and heard this theme already. That's weird. It seems to just be during the credits that seems to be happening a lot. Let me let it run and see if it's actually OBS Studio giving me some sort of issue. How are you reading this with a straight face? Considering that the last one had to do with Magil just suddenly falling in love, it's not too hard. That was definitely the most ridiculous story of the group so far, though. This is like a joke ending from a Silent Hill game. Yeah, it is. Oh my god. I've never played any Silent Hill game, but I love the Martian ending, or the UFO ending, and then the dog ending. Those are both from 2, right? Or is the UFO ending from 3? No, I think that's just the emulator fucking up. OBS is not getting an encoding error during that. The UFO ending is in 1 and 2. Oh. Super Extreme Alpha Cosmos Police Case EX Ultra. I don't know how to get ending 3. I don't know how to make the sound show up in the woods. Let me look it up in a different guide. Alright. Save it. Do another one. You like the concept of them, but they scare you too much to actually play. Yeah, I'm kind of done with jump scare games. Alright, Magil... Don't fall asleep and check out the woods. Oh, okay. I can't fall asleep. Not now. It's too dangerous to fall asleep now, I keep telling myself over and over. Kid had a name for this sort of thing, but I can't seem to remember it at the moment. Man, that was close. Shaking my head, I try to stay alert. Still, all this is really something. Walking through a forest like this on a night like tonight reminds me so much of the first time I bumped into her. It's been something like 3 years since Kid and I met. Back when I was a drifter, wandering wherever my music led me. So yeah, in the canon version of this game, Surge is a musician, a wandering musician. He's not some fisherman kid. Anyway, we've seen all we've read this before. But yeah, in the canon version of this universe, Kid is still raised by Luca like in Chrono Cross, and then Luca was killed, and Magil is implied to be Magus and have some connection with Kid, though it's never actually elaborated on in this game. Life is like a stone on the side of a hill. If it comes loose, there's really no chance of stopping it until it's tumbled all the way down to the bottom. What are you talking about? It's like you're saying we're messing up your life just by being here. Gulp. How did you know what I was thinking, kid? Because you were saying it, not thinking, Magil says from behind. Oh no. What have I been saying? So these are actual characters from Chrono Cross. Yes and no. Kid, Magil, and Surge are indeed characters from Chrono Cross. But their backstories are slightly different than the way they are in this game. Like in Chrono Cross, Surge is just a kid who lives in a fishing village. He does not play an instrument. Magil, while it's not implicitly stated that he's Magus, it's implied that he is. And Kid is... I don't even want to go into it, because explaining who Kid is in Chrono Cross requires you to know all of Chrono Trigger, and then all of Chrono Cross's plot as well. It's pretty ridiculous. If you don't like being with us, why don't you do us a favor and take a hike, We could do just fine without a third wheel, Kid shouts, stomping away angrily. Kid, wait up, I call out, running after her. Hey, what's that bright flash over there? Kid asks, suddenly pointing towards a thicket in front of us. Huh? I don't see anything. I look around closely, but all I see is a bunch of trees and rocks extending on into darkness. It was a bright flash. It was right over there, I tell you. Go check it out, pay no mind, and insist we move on. Check it out. Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. I walk over beside Kid, trying to see whatever it was she saw. Magil approaches as I'm an hour and a half into this now. Magil approaches as well a moment later. We are already fairly deep into Lord Lynx's territory, he says. It's dangerous to start blindly wandering around. You are aware of that fact, are you not? However, Kid doesn't budge an inch, keeping her eyes on the bush. Did you feel something here, Magil says, changing his expression a moment later. Kid's eyes meet Magil's for a moment, but before long, she returns her focus to the forest. So be it, he finally says. If we are intended to stray from the path, this may prove to be worth something in its own regard. Before Magil even finishes speaking, Kid bolts, disappearing into the trees. Hey, wait up! Be careful, Surge. Foul things lie down this path. Nodding, I cautiously start to make my way through the trees. Much to my Much to my surprise, we're able to find it right away. It turns out to be a beautiful beetle, colored solid gold, perched on a high tree limb. The golden beetle, Kid cries out, climbing up to the large tree. The beetle certainly glitters like real gold. Kid seems quite caught up in its sight. No, not caught up in the sight, rather caught up in the greed, I should say. Man, she's fast. She's already climbed up about 5 or 6 times my height, heavily baited with hopes of gold. Aha! Kid catches it, but almost instantly the beetle shakes free, buzzing out of her hand. Wait, she yells, reaching out her hand further and further, hoping to catch the golden insect. I almost said instinct for some reason. But suddenly she loses her balance and falls. Try to catch her. It's okay, I remind myself. Falling from a sign of height is no cause for concern. Fuck, I didn't actually click it. Just as I suspect, Kid revolves around in the air like a cat, landing without a hitch. She then immediately takes off running without even looking at me. Wait, my beetle! That was a timed prompt. I was supposed to press it before the timer ran out. Relentlessly chasing the beetle, she plunges deeper and deeper into the forest. We follow after her, desperately trying to keep her in sight. For all I know, it could be the golden beetle, or just another common insect. However, we're so deep in the forest now, I can't see anything but an endless assortment of dark trees and jagged rocks, stretching out in every direction. I doubt Kid herself can even see the beetle at this point. How could she still be tracking it? As soon as I start to ask myself this, I realize that she'd tell me. Intuition. Kid suddenly stops in a clearing. Kid, we really should be getting back. Did you find it? Nah, I found something gold, but it ain't the golden beetle. That's not Italian. That's not That's more Italian than Australian. I need to work on my breathing when I say long sentences. I think that's why I'm tripping up so much. I look over Kid's shoulder. There, in a small spot of light, stands a tall golden plant. My first impression is that it's a sunflower, but those don't usually bloom at night, do they? What is this thing? What's so special about it? Haven't you ever seen a sunflower before, Kid? Of course, you dummy, Kid says, hitting me upside the head, doing damage to me. Jeez, you're as thick as ever. There's something special about this thing, can't you feel it? I close my eyes, trying to get one of those feelings she's always talking about. Take a deep breath. Forced smell. Kid suddenly jabs me in the arm and does more damage to me. I have to admit, I haven't had much luck being intuitive, especially while being beaten up. I try to wonder what she can possibly be feeling all the way out here in the middle of nowhere. I walk around the enormous plant, taking another look at it. But then suddenly... What the... Oh god. A face suddenly emerges in the center of the flower. It's a ghastly sight, complete with drunken, drowsy eyes, purple eyelashes, thick pink lips, and a long bent nose. A cross-dressing flower. Now I've seen it all. What is it, Magil? Apparently unfazed by the strange sight, Magil calmly starts to rack his brain. What is this thing? Gamma, don't you even start. Stop now before you say the rest. God damn it. You're going to bird jail, Gamma. I'm putting you there myself. What was this sort of thing called, he says as he strokes his chin, going into a sort of quiet trance. I sure hope he remembers soon. That's Magil for you, though. He's got a head full of knowledge wiser than most I've ever met. However, it takes a good bit of time to remember certain things, and until he remembers, he'll remain completely useless. He's led us into danger a few times because of that. Oh, bonjour, mademoiselle. Wait, it can talk, too? Madam, what? Kid asks, smirking. Ah, ma chérie, I was just sneaking a peek of your petite breast. I hope that you are not angry. What? Get your eyes off of me. Oh, my sweet mademoiselle, how young and feisty you are. The sunflower answers back playfully. Excuse me. You perverted freak of nature. Watch what you say around me, Kid says as she flashes her dagger dangling down at her side. This kid squaring off with a sunflower. Now I've seen it all. Oh no, bird jail. Guess you'll have to cuff me, winky face. Look, you. I will come to your house and cook you dinner. As a certain other streamer sometimes says when he makes threats to other people. Kid squaring off with a sunflower. Now I've seen it all. Ah, my darling, perhaps you and I can converse somewhere a bit more private. Suddenly, Kid whips out her dagger, slashing clean through the sunflower's stalk. Oh, I'll be making tacos, alright. Not the kind you want, though. Its blaring screeches as Its blaring screeches as excruciating to hear as 100 hands simultaneously scratching down a chalkboard. I feel faint. My knees are going to buckle if I hear any more of that deafening screech. But then suddenly, oh, you must not be so violent, my sweet-chested fillet. That tickles. Somehow another sunflower instantly sprouted and replaced the one that was cut down, perfectly identical to its predecessor. Bastard, Kid shouts, slashing her dagger through the air once again. Ugh! More and more of that awful screech fills the air. But then moments later, None, I am not yet married, but if you insist. Kid continues hacking away, tearing down every new sunflower that pops up. However, for every one she mows down, 2 or 3 instantly sprout up in its place. All this screeching. I can't take it any longer. Stop, kid, please. Try to stop her, get Magil to do something. Stop, kid, I shout, trying to intervene. However, she heatedly shoves me aside, becoming more and more infuriated as she hacks through the never-ending crop of sunflowers. Try again, get Magil to do something. This is kind of pathetic, but rationalizing with Kid is useless. All I can think of is to ask Magil for help. I look over him and ask, Magil, what do we do? But he just stands there with his finger on his chin, staring down at the ground as still as a statue. Shaking him, I shout, Hey, Magil! But it's useless. Beneath his mask, Beneath his mask, those eyes of his sport a blank, foggy gaze, silently staring off into nothingness. I can't believe it. He must still be trying to remember what this thing is called. We have to do something here. I can't just sit here and let this happen. Ah, ma chérie, why must you take your puny sword at moi? We do not need such love games. With the sweet feelings we have for each other, there is no use for la violence, n'est-ce pas? N'est-ce pas? I don't know how that's pronounced. C'est la vie, I know that. So it's n'est-ce pas? There we go. Kid's face turns redder and redder as she buries herself further into the sunflower patch. I remember now, Magil says, finally snapping out of it. This is what's known as a Mandora monster. Please do not make the mistake of trying to cut it down. Magil... I point to the humongous crop of sunflowers, where Kid has now resorted to gripping one of the sunflower stalks and shaking it with both hands. However, the sunflower does nothing but laugh down at her. Suddenly, all around us, the ground starts to tremble and quake. Dirt loosens as the ground gives way, creating a sort of quicksand beneath our feet. I leap back instantly, but I then realize Kid's still in the thick of it, ignoring everything except the sunflowers. Kid, I yell, but it's too late. She's caught up in the entanglement of stalks. After a moment, she slips and falls on the unstable ground, getting swallowed up into the newly formed pit beneath her. I try to go after her, but just as I approach the patch, a great number of plants and vines quickly shoot up around Kid, blocking me. Then, suddenly, a mess of vines leap out at me, trying to wrap themselves around my arms and legs. However, I feel a set of strong arms take a hold of me and jerk me back almost immediately. Thanks, Magil. There's no time to lose. Run. But Kid... I know. Running up onto a nearby hill, I stop for a moment and look back. The whole mess is nothing but a billowing cloud of dust now. All I can make out is a multitude of vines waving crazily in the air. I can neither see nor hear Kid. Head back in and try to rescue her, call out to her from here. As soon as I try to make a run for the dusty mesh, Magil reaches out and with his large hands restraining me. We must wait for the dust to settle. It's useless to try and find her now. He's right. It's way too crazy in there right now. I try to remind myself that the only reason I want to do something is out of shock. I need to relax. After a minute or two, the dust starts to settle. Hey, what's that? A large silhouette is starting to appear out from the dust cloud. It's big. A lot bigger than what was there before. As the figure is gradually exposed to the moonlight, I start to see more of a defined shape. Kid! This thing, whatever it is easily 7 or 8 times my height. Its body seems to resemble a gorilla's. Its exposed muscles are wrapped in ivy, and its digits remind me of a pointed shellfish. Golden sunflower petals are lined up in the back of its neck. However, instead of a head, it's her. Kid's stark, naked upper body has been fused on top of the monster. Other than the 2 small sunflowers covering her chest, she's wearing nothing at all. Surge, listen to me. That Mandora monster has fused with Kid. We must save her quickly, otherwise she'll be lost forever, consumed by her own hate. Surge, quit gawking and pay attention. What? She's going to die. I frantically try to think of what to do. It's hard, though. I can't seem to take my eyes off those 2 sunflowers. Take another look at it. Ask how it. Take another look. Kid's expressionless face teeters listlessly back and forth as the monster establishes its footing. This is what's making you say what the fuck, and not the last chapter, where Macaw was a fucking space hero. I need to take another drink. Those unusually fiery eyes of hers now appear desperate and hollow. Her skin is a dark grassy green, like that of an Amazon goddess. At least that made sense. It was a little more fun. This is just what? Calm down. There is a way. The monster has managed to intertwine itself with Kid because of her strong sentiments of anger. Unless we separate Kid from her anger, we will be unable to save her. How do we do that? With love. Love. Yes, it's the only way. I shall go and make preparations. In the meantime, protect Kid's body and show her love. Also, you must prevent her from using any magic. In her current state, the more she casts spells, the more she'll be lost to that beast. What? Kid can't use magic? She can now. How can this be happening? Surge, show her your love, Macaw says, leaving me with these words as he sinks into a nearby shadow. Wait, Macaw! Macaw! Alone and afraid, I look up at the huge atrocity as I shudder in the chilly nighttime breeze. Love. I couldn't think of a more awkward place to think about love. The sound of the word makes me cringe as it dances through my mind. While lost in thought, I suddenly hear a soft muttering from far above. You say they're small? They're not small, I tell ya. Oh no. Oh no. Others are big. Too big. Oh no. Stop making fun of me. Stop making fun of me. I'll kill you. I'll kill you all. Kid cries out madly, her eyes filled with the flames of rage. Suddenly, her gaze shifts towards me. The monster instantly lashes out a giant stone hammer from me, arcing it down towards me. Parry it or jump back? Parry it? I can't parry it. Not something of that size. I leapt to the side at the very last second. The giant hammer comes crashing down, kicking up heaps of dirt and sand with a ground-shaking thud. Just then, I start to hear a low voice call out from beyond a nearby hill. What's going on over there? Oh no. Goblins! Look, it's the Mandora. What's got it all acting up? Noticing the goblins, the monster begins to moan. Kid's cheeks puff up, and then suddenly... Kid sent a giant streaking fireball out of her mouth, crashing into the goblins, instantly reducing them to ashes. Damn it, magic, I say to myself as Macaw's warning flashes through my head. Finished with the goblins, the monster suddenly remembers me, turning around and returning its gaze to me. Run away for now, shout, I love you. I can't help but feel embarrassed professing my love to a hulking monster who's ready to kill me. I nervously shout, I love you, up into the night sky, hoping she'll hear me. Suddenly, the monster starts to draw closer and closer. Did I do it? Is she coming back to reality? No, it really doesn't look like it. Help! I run and hide, plunging into the deep, dark labyrinth of the wilderness. However, behind me I can hear the thunderous sounds of trees being crushed and boulders being broken. I continue to run as the gigantic monster chases after me. I've been running for at least 5 straight minutes now. Dodging trees and jumping logs, I'm starting to lose my breath. Just as I begin to think I can't run anymore, the end of the forest comes into view. However, as I come to the clearing, lined up before me is a troop of fearless-looking goblins. They're carrying a huge cannon with them, easily 20 feet tall. I try not to think of how easily I'd be obliterated if I ever accidentally stood in its path, or was forced to stand in its path, for that matter. There, lock on the target, shouts a goblin. Oh great, try to tell them what's happening, run away. I collapse at the goblin's feet, out of breath. The goblin leader, decked in full suit of iron armor, sporting Lynx's insignia, comes over to me. It glares at me with piercing, intimidating eyes, as though it's ready to whip out its mace if I do as so much as breathe the wrong way. I really don't know about this, turning to goblins for help, but I've really got no other choice. Please, help me save my friend. The goblin guard stares at me blankly. I continue gasping for air between sentences. We were chasing after this beetle, but then a sunflower suddenly appeared and captured my friend and started to chase me through the forest. Please, you have to help us. She's the most important thing in the world to me. The goblin's eyes relax. Is that right? Your friend was captured. I understand. We'll help you. Don't worry. Thank you. Boy, I'm sure glad I didn't judge this book by its cover. However, just as I say this, and how much would this lovely beetle of kids sell for, That voice! Suddenly the goblin shouts out, What? Your friend is that crooked thief kid? A wave of shock goes through me, just when things were starting to seem okay for once. I try to see behind the goblin, searching for that strangely familiar voice, the one that sounded just like the sunflowers. However, all I can make out is some sort of strange psychedelic light emanating from behind the troop. The light seems to be coming from a figure, whoever or whatever it is. As he makes his way through the crowd, I finally get a good look at him. His hairstyle reminds me of a tall green chimney, and his red and green pinstriped costume is like that of a harlequin. An over-the-top, long purple cape drags behind him as he approaches me. Are you the sunflower? I ask, confused. Sunflower? Who is a sunflower? It cries out. I can't help it. This person. No, this thing. His face looks exactly like the sunflowers. Caught off guard by the sight, the two goblin guards flank me by surprise, wrestling me to the ground. Ah, monsieur, you are Mademoiselle Kid's friend, non? I do not believe we met. Bonjour, bonjour. Je m'appelle Polan. Throughout the world I am known as the Green Terror. Perhaps you have heard of moi, non? Glare at it, screw you, pervert. Pervert? Moi? Non, monsieur. You simply do not understand my elegant nature. No matter. Soon the terror shall be planted in your heart, for Kid's death is at hand. As a gentleman, I shall grant you privilege of seeing this happen before your very eyes. No, you can't. Isn't there anything else you could do? I plead from the bottom of my heart, begging to let her go. Ah, it is very beautiful that you feel this way about her, but alas, I am under employment, and I must deal with intruders. I am sorry, but I can't grant your wish, Paulin says with a cheerful gesture of consolation. Captain, there it is! The goblin's shout strikes into my heart like a death sentence. To the cannon, sir, the guard says to Paulin. Stop, please, I holler, helplessly trying to break free of the guard's restraint. However, they only tighten their grip on my arms, and tears begin to stream down my cheeks as the pain shoots in. Monsieur, I offer you this. Is there any final words you would like to say to moi? You'd like moi to say to this friend of yours? Au revoir, scoundrel kid. Adieu, petite-chested mademoiselle. Please, I beg you, stop. You really have true feelings for this fillet, Polan says, taking a handkerchief to wipe his tears. I am most moved, he continues. Perhaps when I finish her, I shall say for you, adieu, my chérie, wait for moi in hell, my sweet. With a bittersweet smile on his face, Polan skips towards the pedestal. No, stop! My grievous cries resound unanswered, echoing throughout the starry night. I could see some of the goblins have felt my side of the story, but Polan remains unfazed. Well then, let us begin. He shouts, grasping the crystal ball with both hands. Fireball! Adieu, ma chérie. Wait for moi in hell, my sweet. The barrel of the magical cannon flashes as a tremendous fireball is let loose. Oh, that's the same fireball effect from before. It shoots directly towards the monster, crashing into its torso with the impact of a 2-ton battering ram. Explosive flames engulf the area, blowing me back with a hot gust of air. Kid! Oui, finally we are rid of that horrible mademoiselle. In the past, such terrible experiences would have been stemmed for her none. But now we shall worry about her no more. Ho 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 ho. Kid. I fall to the ground, devastated. But even more so is the dreadful feeling of regret I'm filled with. However, suddenly the goblin guards simultaneously call out in surprise. Captain, look! A giant figure of some kind seems to be emerging from the blazing explosion. Whew. I'm getting lightheaded from how much I'm reading. As the smoke subsides, there stands the monster, completely unharmed. Just as I thought, that pompous freak is no match for Kid. I breathe a sigh of relief, but then realize I'm no further away from doom than before. What? She lives? How can this be? Paulin screams incredulously, running towards me. The relaxed smile from earlier has now been replaced with a nervous sweat. What kind of twisted magic is this? He frustratedly asks me. There's no way I'll ever tell you. It's impossible, poor Vu. I answer sarcastically, trying to imitate that pompous accent of his, complete with landing a few drops of saliva on his putrid face. Paulin turns bright red. What? Spit it out, you little swine, he demands, furiously shaking me by my shirt. But then all of a sudden... Like a howling wolf, Kid's voice echoes throughout the grassy plain. A chill runs down my spine. Could it really be her, trying to break free from the monster? As I stare up at her, silence and fear take hold. She's waving her hands around in the air like she doesn't care, saying something in a slow, deep voice. The dead who lurk in the dark. Quietly and solemnly, Kid's voice begins to echo out. That's her voice, all right, but it doesn't sound like her at all. That monster's still got a hold on her. Must be using her to summon another spell. As she continues to chant, a blue aura starts to form in front of her, shimmering with deadly beauty. Eh? How can she do that? Paulin shrieks, now turning blue with fright. No one can stand up against the cannon. Cannon. Adieu, he shouts before quickly fleeing. The goblin chief follows soon after. All troops fall back. Retreat to the manor, on the double. Oh shit, no. No! I didn't mean to do that. Oh, thank God it didn't glitch. Opening the save menu pretty much crashes the game like 90% of the time. Did you know you have quality options? It keeps appearing and disappearing during your streams. It should just appear, period. Let me load it up on my on the Twitch app, see if that... Oh my God, iOS. I need to take a short break here too, because I am lightheaded from reading dialogue for 2 hours straight. And it's not working. God, the Twitch app is not very stable. I have quality options on my phone. Shut up, me. Shut up, me. I wish they'd just stick because it's easier to stream in a higher quality than downgrade it. Following the Chief Goblin's orders, the soldiers abandoned the cannon and flee to Viper Manor. I'm left alone with this gigantic monstrosity, listening to it starting to summon who knows what. What am I supposed to do now? Call for help. My cries ring out in the night sky as I gulp down desperate gasps of air. However, the only response I hear is kids. Hatred and jealousy in my hands. Gather into 1,000 dark prayers. Just as I think I'm about to lose it, a voice echoes out from behind me. There you are. Alarmed, I whip around instantly. Macaw. Relieved, I try to catch my breath. He's changed. A strange sort of glittering silver robe drapes from his shoulders, and a bright ring shines across his entire back. Macaw, what are you going to do? I want to ask him about his new clothes and everything, but now isn't the time. Instead, I tell him all about what happened, the chain of events relentlessly overflowing from my heart. I try to do what you told me, but... Yes, however, for now, we should leave this area. It is not safe here. Scooping me up under his arm, Macaw briefly recites a spell and soars high into the air. Far from above, I look down upon the ominous landscape, hearing Kid continue to recite her strange incantation. Fallen angel Archmist, answer my prayer and grant me thy power. I can barely make it all out from up here, but from what I can tell, a faint pale light is starting to drift off all around the monster, causing the ball of light in Kid's hands to grow stronger and stronger. I wish I could do something, but I don't know what to do. Death to all living things. Oh God. Destruction to all creation. Devour all light. Phantom. Break. With the sound of a thousand tortured voices of madness crying out in unison, Kid's surging ball of light begins to grow larger and larger, eating away at everything around her. The pale shimmering light slowly stretches outwards, swallowing up everything in its path, melting Viper Manor like fire on ice. It indiscriminately evaporates the huge mansion, along with everything else in its wake. Stretching out more and more, the gigantic void eats away at everything before disappearing into the ground. Unbelievable. Is that town down there or forest? Because I was under the impression that Viper Manor was deep in a forest. Unbelievable. If Macaw hadn't been here just now, oh man, thinking about it gives me the chills. A giant fissure has been created where Viper Manor once stood, continuing down into the ground farther than I can see. And there, on the brink of this newly formed ravine, stands Kid. She seems to be holding out, Macaw says. She's wrestling with another monster for control, but she's almost at her limit. I can barely hold back the impatience in my heart, looking down upon all this. What's going to happen to her? Don't just let her die. Quiet, child. Macaw's unexpected outburst snaps me out of my nervousness. Calm down, Serge. He's right. I need to keep my cool. I don't think he needed to go on about it like that, though. Allow me to cast a levitation spell on you, he says, before muttering some arcane words. Shortly after, he gently releases me. Whoa, I'm floating. To fly, simply think about the direction you wish to travel. Nodding, I carefully try it out. He's right. This is amazing. I dart here and there, flying circles around him with ease. Now, please let me see your knife. I take it out and hand it to him. Macaw takes out a white jewel from inside his robe and again mumbles some strange-sounding words. Suddenly, the jewel attaches itself to the hilt of my knife, as though it were magnetized. He hands the knife back to me, saying, I mentioned this to you before, but let me emphasize it again. Kid is bound to the monster's body because of her anger. As long as that bond exists, you will be unable to save her. To break it, I told you to show her your love. But I don't understand how to do it. Do that, I yell, pressing him for an answer. A kiss. I have to kiss that thing? Yes. It is the most effective way. But its arms are as wide as my waist. Why didn't you tell me this before? I yell, hitting him upside the head in a fit of rage. And with that, I accidentally knock Magil's golden mask off, sending it falling down the night sky onto the ground. Did I just do that? This is the first time I've ever seen his true face. Even for a guy like me, I'm taken aback by his looks. His hair sways in the moonlight as his piercing blue eyes survey the environment below. His beauty is different than that of a woman's. There's some sort of fierce, intrepid quality about him. He's truly a beautiful person. Magil's hand suddenly comes across my face, eagerly returning the blow. Serge, listen to me. I'm okay now, I swear. I wasn't gawking. If Kid uses one more spell, we will not be able to save her. Be sure to kiss her before that happens. However, if you are unable to do this before she finishes concentrating her magical power, you must thrust your knife into her heart. The jewel embedded in your knife holds the power to steal souls. Doing so will be dangerous, but it will be our last resort. Listening to Magil's words, the possibilities run through my head. 2 choices. Even though I can fly, it's going to be incredibly hard to get close enough to that thing to kiss her. But the alternative, I don't even want to think about that. I'm going to start preparations for the exorcism. I will not be able to come to your aid during this time. Oh man, he's got to go away again? Could this be any more hopeless? Taking a deep breath, I try to convince myself I should be facing Kid on my own anyways. Got it, I'll do my best. Yes, Serge, your determination is at the very core of this matter, he says with his deep blue eyes fixed solidly on me. Strange, behind that seemingly impenetrable gaze of his, I swear I see a hint of compassion somewhere within him. Well then, let's go. Protect the girl you love with all your might and all your heart. As Magil's words resounded in my head... Sorry, I need to stop. I'm getting, really tired. I still got another hour of stream to go, too. And my voice is, killing me. As Magil's words resound in my head, an uproar of might rushes into my spirit. I'm going to save her, even if it kills me. The will to save the one and only Kid pulses through my body. I flash Magil a huge smile and begin my descent. For Kid. And he just hits the ground and dies. Soaring down through the air, I spot Kid at the edge of the chasm. She's aware of me as well. As the monster rises to its feet, she stares up at me with an infuriated look on her face. She's changed. Countless red veins have streaked across her body, pulsating with anger. The monster's right hand arcs upward in a flash, trying desperately to grab at me. I dodge at the very last second. I zip behind its arm, coming into within a dangerously close range. Try to cover her mouth, unsheath my knife. Come on, time this right. I reach out my right hand and carefully cover up her mouth, hoping to prevent her from completing a spell. Kiss her. Moving up towards Kid's chin, I try to give her a kiss. However, she has other plans. She thrusts her right hand upward, clocking my jaw from underneath. Raise up my hands, hoping to shield myself from any further blows. I desperately try to drive away her hands, but she manages to poke me in the eye. Ouch! Tears roll down my cheeks as an intense pain shoots into my right eye. Could this get any worse? Suddenly, a tremendous pressure assaults my torso. Looking around, I realize the monster's caught me in its huge hand. It brings me up towards Kid, with her morbid stare fixed solely on me. Her lips turn into a gloating smile before changing into a billowing, hateful laugh. She reaches out and places her right hand on my forehead, and then a stream of red starts to pour from her mouth. Oh no, she's starting another spell. Kid, no, listen to me, don't cast that spell. Try to break free. I holler out with all my heart, hoping there's any part of her real self still left. However, her expression remains unchanged as her unblinking eyes dance around erratically. Suddenly, a trace of light begins to form on the palm of her hand. Red streaks begin to rise up along her body. Kid! Then suddenly, a ring of light comes flying at us from overhead, cutting into the monster's arm like a hot knife through butter. I fall to the ground with the monster's arm, instantly released from its excruciating grip. Surge! Now! Madrigal shouts from high above. Dart upwards and try to kiss her again. Heeding Madrigal's order, I go for it. Reaching my hand out towards her ever-beautiful face, I hesitantly move in towards her lips. Please, God, save her. Kid, come back. I can't do it without you, kid. The words echo out in my head. Well done, Surge. Hold her tightly to you and leave the rest to me. Hearing that voice, I slowly open my eyes. All I see before me is Kid's face, hollow and listless. I'm so scared. I hug her tighter than I've ever hugged her before, quietly sobbing as I kiss her again and again. Looking up, I see Madrigal floating among a sea of clouds, hanging there in midair with his arms folded. His dazzling figure glitters like gold. Suddenly, the clouds beneath them open up as he darts downwards, aiming directly for us. The moon comes forth, its goddess speaks. I am summoned by the will to vanquish evil. Goddess of the moon, lend me your power. Scourge the insolent evil from this world. Now! The golden ring printed on Madrigal's cape shines brighter and brighter as he swoops down onto us. Gah! Lunachant ring force kick. Centered on Kid, the collision creates a huge explosion, spreading over the monster's entire body. My first instinct is to back away, but I remain by her, hugging her body tighter than ever. Somehow, the explosive flames don't seem to harm me. Soon after, the flames begin to subside. I slowly open my eyes, only to see the spell on Kid has been broken. She's been separated from the monster. I hold her body tightly to me as I fly away with her, far out of the reach of the incapacitated monster. Looking back, the monster begins to pulsate with the white light, causing the battered monster's body to shake and tremble. Shimmering sparks dance around its body, circling the beast faster and faster, until the entire scene is a glistening ball of light. Soaring further and further away from the calamity, I look back again, only to see the monster implode into a single point of light. Having left no trace of the disaster that took place before, the small point of light briefly zips around like a firefly, disappearing into the night sky in a flash. Looking down, I can't help but grin as I see the familiar sight of Kid's face. The green in her skin is rapidly fading, returning to the normal color it once was. Kid, it's going to be okay. There's no need to worry. Once her spirit settles, she will awaken. Here, put this on her. Wouldn't be too good if she woke up like that. Madrigal says, handing out his silver cape. Yeah, if she wakes up like this, it'll be slaps and bruises for everyone. I take the cape and quickly wrap it around her limp body. She's coming too. My heart races. I look at her face, seeing her eyelids start to tremble. "Good morning, kid," I say, still a bit nervous. "Serge, Magil." She groggily moves her eyes around left and right, and then after that brief, subdued moment, "You too. Damn it. You saw me naked, didn't you?" Shocked, I looked up to Magil, but he's nowhere to be found. How can they leave me alone with her at a time like this? Why can't I be the one with the power of shadows? Kid stares at me with those ever-fiery eyes of hers. "Hey, you kissed me too? How could she remember any of that? Damn it, Magil." "Yes, I kissed you." "What? You must have been dreaming or something." Letting out a deep breath, I answer truthfully. But before I could finish... "Yeah, just like I thought. Trying to sneak in a quick peck when I'm knocked out," she yells, rising to her feet, slapping me again and again. I'd never been kissed before. The nerve! "You bastard, you bastard, you bastard!" Suddenly she stops and looks at me. It's over. Hell no, this ain't over. She lands a solid punch square in my jaw as her shouting continues to tear through my eardrums. Amidst all the commotion, the silver cape she was wearing accidentally slips off. Momentarily thrown off guard, she quickly bends down to cover herself back up. Heh. Wait, what's that on the ground? Kid seems to notice it as well, completely forgetting about me. She bends down, picking it up. It's some sort of large black and white striped object. Holding it up, I try to see what it is from a safe distance. It looks like some sort of seed. Yeah, it's a sunflower seed, but it's so big, bigger than a fist. However, this only seems to add more fuel to the fire. Gah! Ah! She stomps on it, and stomps, and stomps, and stomps, and stomps, and stomps, 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 stomps. Then she picks it up and hurls it upwards with all her might. "Kid!" shouts Magil suddenly behind her. "Kid, no!" he roars. But it's useless. She's locked onto another one of her tantrums. Ganyo, 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 fireball! Disregarding him completely, she sends a huge fireball streaking upwards to the seed. The sunflower seed. It's worth the 1 billion gold. Magil shouts just as the seed explodes. Kid suddenly looks over at Magil, but it's too late. The look on her face is one I don't think I've ever seen before. Having just realized what she's done, her anger fades into a tremendous feeling of regret. She slumps over, silently staring into her hands. I can't believe a single seed could fetch such a price. It was a pretty big seed, though. "Be calm, kid," Magil says. "As you see now, you've had the power to use magic in you all along. The sunflower merely brought it out of you. However, as you see, magic is a very temperamental thing. In time, you may learn to control it." "Hey, come on, kid. We didn't come away from this empty-handed. You learned how to use magic." "You've learned how to use magic. That's something to be down about," I add, trying to make the best of things. Magil softly puts a hand on her shoulder. However, she quickly turns away from us without saying a word. Her eyes are overflowing with tears. Looks like it might be a while before things get back to normal. And so the curtain closes on yet another tale. However, another time after this spotlight had faded from Kid, Magil, and pull on. Another place, another time. We already know this, but the story's... Blah, blah, blah. Mother calling me. Kids here. We're going to the Kitsune Forest. And another ending down. Except, we're not done, because there's actually 3 versions of this ending. As I stare at my unsheathed knife, a sudden wave of uncertainty comes over me. Cut her up! There's no end to the turmoil brewing inside of me. My uneasiness turns to impatience as I grip the knife. My grip on the knife tightens. I can't bear it if she was to die, but that same familiar feeling of dread runs through me again. But I then start to think of how I could never manage to make my way past this hulking monster. As I stare into those fearfully dark eyes of hers, I ready my knife. I lunge the knife outwards. Kid raises her arms up to protect herself from the blow, but it strikes her square in the heart. Fresh blood gushes out into my hand and into the blade. Then suddenly, the white jewel begins to sparkle. I regretfully watch Kid writhe in agony, her hands now a dizzying mess of blood as the jewel shimmers brighter and brighter. Kid! Kid! I call out, but to no avail. She only continues to cry out in pain, writhing madly. I just hope I didn't choose the wrong path, resorting to violence. Suddenly, her body goes limp, and the jewel turns into a solid, milky white. I soar over, gathering her up in my arms, hoping everything will be all right. Please, God, save her, I shout with tears flowing down onto her limp body. Kid. There's no response. I timidly put my hand near her mouth. She's not breathing. And there's no pulse. Kid! I hold her body tightly to my own as the rest of the monster's body collapses and crumbles away. I cry and hold her tightly and cry. Suddenly, Macaw comes up from behind me. Surge, Kid is not dead. Her spirit has moved on from that body, but she continues to live on inside that jewel. I stare down at the knife I hold in my hand. The white jewel is there in the hilt, sparkling brighter than ever, but despite what Macaw says, I can't seem to hold back my sadness and tears. Hugging Kid's lifeless body, I cry. Suddenly, he forcibly pulls Kid away from me. Macaw, what are you doing? How long do you intend to whimper over this? If you decided to save her, then save your tears for another day. It's not over yet. I stand up, realizing he's right. Kid's body is as replaceable as her clothes. If we could find her a new body, we will be able to bring her back, he tells me in his softening tone. New clothes? I see. I'm sorry, Macaw. Kid's new body? What? Kid has another body? I blurt. Please listen and try to understand what I say. Kid doesn't have another body. Currently, Kid is bound to this jewel as a magical artificial body. However, we may be able to bring her back if we find a living body that meshes with her spirit. For this, I will be performing a ritual of ancient magic. Oh my god, I can't read anymore. For this, I will be performing a ritual of ancient magic legacy known as a sacred host spell. Wow, ancient magic. I've heard of this kind of thing before, but I had no idea there was anyone alive still capable of performing it. Hesitant to believe him, I ask, do you think you can do it? With an intimidating look in his eyes, Macaw turns his glance away from me as he begins to chant to himself. The leaves all around us begin to rustle up from the ground, scattering up in a vortex. From dragon to wolf, from beetle to imp to lizard, from evil man to a man among men. In succession, Macaw's enchantment echoes all around us. Hearing his low, rumbling voice, I find myself more and more hypnotized by his presence. But Kid, I can't have her turning into any of those. If she's turned into a dragon, I'll be nothing more than her next meal. We'll have to find an absolutely stunning clone for her. The world's a huge place. There has to be a clone out there that'll do. There has to be. From Imp to Hekren to Lavos, choose anyone you like. I recommend the Lavos host. It's the strongest of them all. Thanks, Macaw. I've made up my mind. And that's ending 2 of that. And as expected, Kid is not here for this ending. This time it's just Surge and Macaw. But guess what? There's yet another ending to that one. There's yet one more. Try to cover her mouth. think maybe if I wait, maybe this is a timed one. It's not long after I've zoomed around behind her that the monster's gigantic hand starts swatting at me. This is my last chance. If I don't act now, it'll be the end for sure. Swiftly move in. I confront her head on, placing my left arm on her shoulder while supporting her chin with my right. And then with a deep breath, I move in towards her lips. Oh, I end up kissing her. Shit. Alright, so no, the knife always kills her. Try to talk to her. Kid, I feel so much for you. Before she could finish, she starts to strangle me. Kick her in the face. I'm sorry, kid, I say in my head as I shove my heel high up in her face. Reeling backwards, the grip on my neck is loosened. Taking advantage of this momentary opportunity, I quickly move out of the way and fly back. Suddenly, a tremendous pressure assaults my torso. There we go. Looking around, I realize the monster has caught me in its huge hand. It brings me up towards Kid with her morbid stare fixed solely on me. Her lips turn into a gloating smile before changing into a billowing, hateful laugh. She reaches out and places her right hand on my forehead, and then a stream. Oh wait, yeah, we read this already. Wait, let's stall here. Or not. Try to break free. Twisting and turning with all my might, I try to I'm so worn out right now. Twisting and turning with all my might, I try to struggle for my bonds. However, the monster's grip isn't loosened one bit. However, her expression remains unchanged as her unblinking eyes dance around erratically. Suddenly, a trace light begins to form in the palm of her hand. Red streaks begin to rise up along her body. Kid! And suddenly, a ring of light comes at us from overhead, cutting the monster's arm like hot knife through butter. How do you lose? Like, no matter what I do. However, before I have time to react, the monster's left hand suddenly whips out at me. Dodge. Don't dodge. Let me see. Maybe there's a way. Maybe this will tell me how to do this. What the fuck do I do? I think the knife has to be out, so... No, or not. I don't get. They say there's a third ending where Kid stabs Surge instead. Very confusing. I'll try a few more times to solve this that way, because I need to stop talking for a few minutes here. My head is like killing me. I think it's a safe bet to say we're not even finishing Radical Dreamers tonight, unfortunately, which is much to my own chagrin because this game is so goddamn text heavy. Ugh. Here we go. I had to unsheath the knife after failing. Wait, what? No. Really? So that doesn't work. That doesn't help. Unsheathe my knife. That feeling familiar feelings, but I start to think of how I could never manage to make that. Alright. What? I don't understand. There's a way for her to stab you, and I don't understand how to do it. Swung up in an instant, I definitely positioned myself near her head. Bam. I'm knocked backwards in a daze as I try to recover from the headbutt she just landed on my forehead. My vision suddenly turns dark. I feel like this is new. Amidst my daze, something seems to have been snatched from my side. Oh no. Where's my knife? Oh no, she's trying to stab me with it. And we let it happen. There we go. We got the rarest of the rare endings. My knife, which remained faithfully at my side until moments ago, is now deep within my chest. It doesn't hurt, but my heart, it's so cold. All I could think of is how cold my heart is as I stare at Kid, still holding onto the hilt of the knife. My chest is so warm, but so cold. Kid. The rarest of endings. Worth 1 billion gold. The thoughts in my head fade into the increasing chaos. All I wanted to say to her has all but faded with the coldness in my own heart. No, it can't end like this. Wait, what's that? The jewel. The one in the knife's hilt. It's sparkling. Somehow I feel a momentary burst of energy flow into me. Trying desperately to stay coherent, I lift myself up and reach out to her. I'll trade my life for hers. Please, God, save her. Kid, come back, please. I love you. Please don't die, Kid. Together with my soul. I silently pray to myself. Dry leaves drift down from the trees, covering the vast landscape bit by bit. Autumn turns to winter, then to spring, summer, and finally autumn once again. Time travels on, the everlasting impartial arbiter. Somewhere in a vast small forest, somewhere in a vast forest, a small isolated hut stands in solitude. Built by the men of a nearby village, it's used mainly for when loggers come out to fell the trees of the forest. However, on this particular day, it has a different use. The front door opens from the inside, and a large framed man steps out. Obviously not a man from the nearby village, he wears a dark gothic tunic and a porcelain mask on his face. Inside the hut, a girl sits with her back turned toward the door. Wrapped in a blanket, her shoulders shudder uncontrollably. Grasping a knife with a peculiar jewel embedded in its hilt, she weeps endlessly. Jill told me everything after I was pulled from that monster. Serge, you sacrificed yourself to save me, but now it's your soul that's trapped in here. Why me? Why'd I have to live? He tells me that you're bound to that jewel because it's a magical artificial body. But if we were to make a clone for you, we might be able to bring it back. I want to go. To help Magil. To help you. But I'm so sad. I'm sad. I can't stop crying. Serge, Magil never told me, but I knew. I always knew. Your final thought after you'd been sealed in the gem. Please don't die, kid. Together with my soul. Well, time to go to whatever town it was, and go to the Millennial Fair and just win a clone. And so the curtain closes on another tale. Sometime another place, another time, similar brand of adventurers, but it's a story for another day. And again, it's another just kid and Magil ending. Whew. Man, these are like the way that they write these summaries of these on this guide. It makes them seem extremely short, and then they all end up being long as fuck. Whew. Yeah, we're definitely, unfortunately, not finishing this tonight either. Because even if I go the next half hour, that's only going to be like another ending at most. And there's still, I think, 2 normal ones, a secret joke one that I think the fan translators put in, and then we also haven't watched the true ending of like the main one either yet. Kid and the Sunflower. So I guess there's always a fight if you follow Kid here. But yeah, there's an invisible, like for the main story, there's an invisible kind of relationship meter with Kid, and fighting badly lowers it, as well as picking certain dialogue options. In order to get the true ending of the normal route, you have to raise her affection meter high enough. And then what happens is, when Lynx is choking him out, or Lynx is choking Serge out, things go a little differently. Alright, so for this one, follow Kid into the storeroom. Try to enter the vault. Alright. So we're gonna go... No, that's the study. I don't want to be in there. Well, actually, the other, one of the other two endings is here. We could just do that one instead. Walk over to the bookshelves. I walk over to one of the bookshelves and start looking through the rows of books. Most of them are written in languages I've never seen before. I pull one of the books off a shelf. It's so heavy I have to support it with both of my hands. I clumsily turn up to a random page. The book contains page after page of strange scribbled symbols. Strange scribbled symbols. Wow, that's a tongue twister. They twist and dance almost as though they're alive. Wait, what? I blink my eyes, bringing my face closer to the book. It had to have been my imagination. They're not actually moving. Wait, are they? I turn up another page. It seems to have the same strange contorted symbols. It's making my head hurt just by looking at them. What could this be? Huh? Says kid coming to my side. Oh, it's a magically coded book. You can't read it. Besides, all these magical books are probably cursed. Wouldn't do you any good to read them even if you could. Watch yourself around these books, mate. There might be something in one of them. What are you talking about? And then, just as I turn my head to ask Kid about it, the book starts to moan in a dreadful way. I immediately slam it shut, jamming it back on the bookshelf. Macaw, who had been watching us the entire time, approaches the shelves and reaches out for a time-worn, leather-bound book. You know about this stuff? Kid asks, looking up at Macaw like a duck in a thunderstorm. That's a weird analogy. This is an ancient tome from a faraway land. It was once known as the Book of the Dead. I never expected to find it here, in Lord Lynx's possession. Macaw gazes at the time-worn, leather-bound book. Ask him to open it. Hell yeah. Prompted by curiosity, I ask Macaw to open the book. He hesitates for a moment, but then nods silently and opens the thick leather cover. The large book opens with a long creak. Suddenly, a strange sort of breeze seems to leap out from it, howling all around us. Curtains, papers, and even the chandeliers sway at this odd, directionless gust of wind that scurries around. After a few moments, it whisks out the door. I fearfully turn to Macaw, wondering what we've done now. Hey, there's nothing written in it, Kid says. What gives? Shifting his attention back to the book, Macaw turns up another page. They're all blank. Sheesh, what a waste. Let's write something in it, Kid says, already scribbling something down. Dear Lord Lynx, go buy some real books while you're out. Geez, and by the way, the jerk stalk called, and they're all out of you. Nice Seinfeld reference. Suddenly, we start to hear footsteps coming this way. Though they aren't that loud, they boom like thunder in the light. Kid and I jump up. Macaw swiftly conceals himself in nearby shadows. Quick, under the desk. Kid and I scurry underneath the desk. Curling up, I wrap her in my arms. Humph. Smaller than I thought. What? Hey. The door opens with a sudden creak. We sit motionless without making a peep. The quivering light of a candle spreads in from the doorway. Soon after, a hand holding a candlestick comes into view from behind the door. Tightening, I nervously hold my breath. When I look down, my heart skips a beat, with Kid's lips right in front of me. I feel myself starting to lose control, so full, and pink, and glossy. My heart starts pounding faster and faster. I force myself to stop staring and shut my eyes tight. Whoever opened the door doesn't seem to have any intention of entering the room. Thought I heard something. No reason for anyone to be in here, though, since the master is away. Still, with those poor southerners on the move, poor being P-O-R-R-E, the town from Chrono Trigger, it's never too late to be sorry. The door closes again, covering the room in darkness once again. For a while we wait, not moving an inch. The footsteps echo away into the distance. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I can't stop thinking about how great she smells. Hey, how long are you gonna stick to me like that? Kid asks, pushing my jaw upwards. Huh? Sorry. I quickly get up, bumping my head against the desk with a loud bang. I crawl out, rubbing my head. Man, that stings. Kid comes out next. Crouching, she looks over at me and says, You goof. You alright? Yeah, I'm fine. So, Poor's up to something, Magil says quietly, emerging from the shadows. Poor's a large country governing the southern continent. I hear it's a pretty well-developed and fairly prosperous place. But what would they be after in these outlands? Surely not the frozen flame. Southern continent. So either this takes place in the northern continent, like in the northern area where like Guardia is, or this is out in Chrono Cross's actual like territory. No matter how valuable it may be, in the end, it's just a jewel, a piece of rock. How valuable could it really be? We leave the study, retracing our steps through the dark passage. At this point, I can't even apologize for fucking up lines anymore. I'm just so tired. I also didn't sleep well. We leave the study, retracing our steps through the dark passageway. Finally, the passage comes to a three-way branch. What do I have to do? I want to continue this ending without delay. They had the door shut behind them at the exit to the ballroom. Alright. Great. Nothing here, Kid sighs as we enter the spacious hall. Countless number of candles spectacularly illuminate this huge ballroom. An unsettling mood hangs in the air as we walk through it, however. We're greeted with dozens of high-class portraits hung high on both sides of the hall. A huge blood-red rose has been left on the floor before us. Wonder who left this here. Behind us, the door suddenly slams shut. As we turn around, I suddenly notice dozens of translucent figures materializing out of thin air, right before our eyes. Oblivious to us, the couples waltz around the hall in their decaying tuxedos and tattered dresses. What kind of trick is this? Kid flares up, enraged. Magil touches Kid's shoulder. They're ghosts, he whispers. Ghosts? Hearing this, they suddenly turn towards us, staring at us with their pale, faint eyes. Uh-oh. Ghosts! No! They shriek. Ghastly, tortured screams resound through the hall as dozens of ghosts fly up into the air, vanishing through the ceiling. Then, after a few moments, a voice laughs out from high above. How are you finding the dance so far? Enjoyable, I hope. Looking up, we see a lady sitting on the huge chandelier, dressed differently than all the other ghosts. I get the feeling she's not one of them at all. She swoops down, coming within mere inches of my face. It's Riddell. Rob us? And just who do you think you are? I am the goddess of death, a servant of the Shadow Realm, she answers. My name is Lilith, although in my current state, I realize looks can be deceiving. Having been summoned here, I took on the form of this young Lady Riddell for my latest hunt. Hunt? Yes, and I thank you for it. I had so yearned for the practice. I had not hunted in so long. Me? Kid asks, astonished. You are the one who signed the name Lynx into the soul contract, are you not? Lynx? You killed Lynx? Lilith simply stares at Kid. She's referring to the Book of the Dead, when you signed Lynx's name in it back in the study, Magil whispers to Kid. She's a shadow huntress. So, he's dead, Kid says once again, almost in shock. I wouldn't necessarily call him dead. Well preserved is the better term, Lilith explains as she takes a shimmering scarlet jewel out of her pocket. The frozen flame! "Ah, so you do know something after all," she says. "Ironic that a soul like his, filled with such malice and contempt, could ever solidify into a stone of such beauty." Lilith's eyes narrow. A dark haze begins to form in her right hand. The haze slowly takes on an elongated shape. After a few moments, it solidifies into a crescent moon-shaped scythe. The scythe flashes downward with a streak of darkness. With that, the frozen flame shatters into 1,000 pieces. And with this, I solidify my transition into your world, extinguishing both the vermin Lynx as well as that disgusting puppet, Riddell. Treading over the broken shards, Lilith puts out her other hand. The dark haze accumulates into a large rectangular shape. The Book of the Dead. Lilith hands the book to Kid. "Time to sign a new name. I will effectively hunt and take out any soul you desire." This is terrible. Hunting Lynx was one thing, but this is another entirely. I have to do something. Speak up and refuse for Kid. Steal the Book of the Dead. "We don't need that thing," I yell. "Well, what a willful boy we have here," Lilith laughs. Sorry, I just touched something on my shirt, and I was like, what the fuck? There's like a logo on my shirt with a, made of a different material, and I didn't realize it was there, and I was like, is there like crap stuck to my shirt? "Well, what a willful little boy we have here," Lilith laughs. "I can't let this happen. Kid can't start using that thing at will." Suddenly, Lilith's scythe swings down, mere inches from me. What the? I can't have any outsiders I can't read anymore, guys. I can't do it. "I can't have any outside affairs meddling with business, young lad," Lilith casually explains as she floats weightlessly in midair. "Hunting souls is my duty, my sole reason for existence. So you see, Kid will write a new name in the contract. I wish we'd never gotten involved with this thing. Seek Kid's opinion, seek Madrill's opinion. We'll seek Madrill's opinion. I turn to ask Madrill for help, but surprise, surprise, he's nowhere here. I can't believe this is happening. I have to do something." Suddenly, Lilith gasps. Something is wrestling her from behind. From out of the shadows, Madrill has seized her. "Lady Lilith, I hereby order you to cease this reckless behavior and return to the Shadow Realm before I use Pot of Greed to draw 2 cards from my deck." Madrill, having leapt out from behind her, seems to have changed from his normal appearance. "You, a shadow hunter?" Lilith shrieks, looking down at him. You shall come with me," Madrill growls, wrestling the lightning-quick huntress. "I see you are adept in the ways of the Jade Mirage," Lilith says, "but I do not think I will be heeding your wishes today, hunter. It has been several hundred years since you've come here, terrorizing this world. Your powers surely have weakened since then," Madrill echoes throughout the hall. "You think so?" Lilith taunts, swinging her scythe downwards with lightning-fast speed. The scythe cleaves through the air. Kid tumbles backward, dazed. She looks at her arm and wipes the blood away from the small cut Lilith made. Suddenly, she falls to her knees. Going into convulsions, a pale light begins to radiate from her chest. "What's the matter, little girl?" Lilith laughs, smiling cruelly. "You see, hunter, my power here is everlasting, thanks to the essences of these puny beings. She helped you, and now you're doing this to her?" I shout. "Circumstances have changed, dear boy." I take Kid into my arms as Madrill and Lilith continue to battle with each other. Madrill starts to volley deadly balls of fire, which arc throughout the delicately crafted ballroom towards the huntress. As she nimbly dodges them, the blazing magic inadvertently flies over in our direction. "Watch it, Madrill," I yell, dragging the Kid out of the way at the last second. What a glorious day this will be. 4 souls for the price of 1. Damn it, come on, Madrill, get her. The aura above Kid's chest is growing stronger and stronger. The light is starting to grow more dense, coalescing into a solid ball of light. Despite her delirious circumstances, Kid opens her eyes just enough to recognize me and smile. "Serge, thank you. Protect me." "We're not giving up yet, Kid. It's the least I can do to comfort her. I don't know what else to do." I look up, narrowly avoiding another stray bolt of magic. The two fight mere feet in front of me with blinding speed. Sight and flame violently collide as the fight rages on, a frenzy of scattered sparks and violent crashes. I huddle over Kid, protecting her from the protecting her from the blazing fight. There we go. We got it. We'll get it eventually. Kid, stay awake. Please talk to me. But then the shimmering light finally coagulates into a radiant gem, solidifying just above her heart. The glimmering scarlet gem drops onto her chest as her aura ceases to glow. Before my eyes, I start to realize our dismal fate as I hug her tightly. From behind me, I hear Macaw and Lilith, deep in the throes of death. You shall return to the Shadow Realm, now! With an expertly timed leap, Macaw slips into shadow form and crowds around Lilith, surrounding her on all sides. He then ignites a blaze spell, turning the entire area around them turning the entire area around the both of them into an incinerating, chaotic mess. Moments later, a dark body leaps out of the fire. Macaw rematerializes, staring back at the fire, now a putrid, stinky mess on the ground. He walks over after a minute or two and stamps it out. But then suddenly, Lilith leaps out from behind a column. Macaw, no! I shout, but she's already got him. He's at the end of his rope. Ugh! Vile witch, I order you back to the Shadow Realm with me! With him? What? Amidst the entanglement, I start to hear Macaw's strained voice. Surge, only you can thaw, kid. With your feelings. You must. And you, His Majesty, is looking forward to your return. And with that, the two phase out of sight in the blink of an eye. Silent and alone, I wrap Kid's body up in my arms once again, hugging her body tightly to me. Staring into those delicate, soft eyes of hers, I can't help but think of all we've been through. Tears roll down my cheeks as I continue to hug her limp body. I look at the shiny gem. Was it all worth it? All of this trouble? All of this death? I continue to sob, tears falling onto the flame. But then suddenly, the flame starts to become hotter and hotter. I let go of it, but instead of falling to the ground, it hangs there, suspended in midair. It travels over to Kid's chest, where it begins to thaw back into an aura of light. The blaze glows like an ember, containing an aurora of the seven prismatic colors, before being absorbed back into her heart. Aurora. After a moment, she takes a breath. Kid! Ecstatic, I hug her again and again with tears of joy flowing from my eyes. Hey, what are you doing, you grub? You were brought back to life, kid. I thought I'd lost you. But why do you always have to be so clingy? She's back, just like always. On our way out of the mansion, I explained to her all about Macaw, the flame, and everything else. She didn't seem to remember any of what happened after Lilith had struck her. And so we bid farewell to Macaw. I hope he's okay, wherever he is. Lilith, on the other hand, I'm sure she got what she deserved. As for Kid, I'm glad we've learned to grow and live together. Having started out as a nomadic musician, I look back at myself and realize I've come so far since then. We've all come this far. We've come all this way, with everything leading up to this moment. The years go by, and I find myself growing over, bit by bit. One day, long after all these incidents have come to pass, I take a look at myself and wonder if I've got any of that adventurous spirit still left in me. I sit and look at my trusty knife collecting dust on the mantel above my fireplace, and think to myself, my days of traveling can't be over just yet. That old familiar feeling of wonderment ensnares me as I vow to pack my bags tomorrow and set out for some new exotic land, letting fate once again guide me wherever it wishes. However, this time, I know I'll have someone waiting for me for when I get back. And this time it's just Surge standing there by himself. Oh god. There's one more regular ending and then two, like, secret endings to get. I'm gonna do those tomorrow, because we're 15 minutes away from 3 hours and I can't read another ending's worth of dialogue right now. Ugh. So yeah, this game will have to be dragged out one more stream, but this will definitely be finished tomorrow, and I'll move on to the next game. But yeah, that's just the emulator doing that, freezing up while I'm playing it. It's not actually my computer overloading. I'm confused because that was happening during the Pokemon streams as well. This one didn't have the book at the end of it. The Shadow Realm and the Goddess of Death. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here. I think to go any further than this is a fool's errand right now, because there's probably a lot more dialogue to read in those last few endings. There's no one I want to host right now, so I'll just let AutoHost take it over. I will be streaming every day this week until Thursday, so there will be a stream tomorrow where I finish this, move on to the next game, and then that game will have a full stream on both Wednesday and, Thursday I do the tight stream because of Critical Role at 10 p.m. I don't like missing that. But yeah, this whole week will be streams. This is spring cleaning, or stream cleaning, or spring streaming, or spring stream cleaning, or something like that. Something witty. I'll think of something. I'll workshop it. Anyway, that'll be it for tonight. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow, and thank you for coming. Good night.